Well, we're both back in the same country, Hanok, but I have to tell you, there's a country I'd rather be back in together than, I mean, you're down in the nation of Florida now, and
Yeah.
which is becoming its own nation, by the way, as you know. And but we're all as we, start this program, we're all very pleased that you have friends there in your room hanging on the wall. And I pray that they're a
Oh,
great comfort to you at night, that you don't feel alone.
yeah, that's, so many things to talk about. And, that's one that we'll just leave, you know, till I get to Franklin.
Yeah, I couldn't leave it alone, but you can.
Yeah, so after let's see, how long was I? I think I was in Texas for about 10 days, spoke at a number of different locations. Um, and that was right in the midst of the issue with Governor Abbott of Texas
Yeah.
and the barbed wire and stuff. So I actually had someone ask, um, was I there in Texas specifically at that time for that reason? Okay,
I'm
so
thinking I'm
before
thinking
you
your
rest the
answer was
loop,
no.
so no, yeah, I would never say that.
No, of course not.
So I said, actually, I have been sent as a representative from my government to stick my nose in the middle of the Texas and the federal government issue because America and Blinken are so busy sticking their nose in our business. So I'm going on and I'm spinning this whole trail,
Uh-huh.
and this guy's going, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. So it's like really, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Um, the news from home is after a long wait, Hamas responded to the issue of a quote unquote ceasefire, or some mechanism to begin releasing those hostages that sadly remain alive.
Yeah.
Um, they're under horrific conditions, those that haven't been killed by Hamas yet. God forbid, but it's a bad situation. Anyway, of course,
Well, hold on.
so
Let me
Hamas basically,
hold that thought if you would. Let me break in here real quick. Um, so it's reported that there was about 135 or so hostages, I think it is. Then the report came out as many as 35 are dead. Now they're saying maybe another 20. What's your thoughts that they're really not? There's some are missing probably. I was talking to Kathy about this last night. What's the chances some of them were sold? They have no idea where they are. This is just a smoke and mirrors, and there's really nobody alive, or very,
um,
very few.
okay, I'll leave the very few alive part and go back a little bit.
Okay.
We knew from the very beginning that there were quote unquote civilians.
Yeah.
Now, again, there are no innocent people in Gaza.
Yeah.
I'm stating that unequivocally.
Yeah.
No innocent people in Gaza. Those not affiliated with Hamas and Islamic Jihad also looted, raped, slaughtered, and took captives.
Yeah.
They have been sold, they have been used as sex slaves. Does Hamas know where they are? We have no way of knowing. I want to remind our listeners there has never been a list presented, not to the alleged Red Cross, to Israel, to the UN, or anyone else. We have no accounting from their side of who they took hostage,
Yeah.
and they refused to do it. We know that they carried off a number of bodies that they killed. There was a story just within the last 2 weeks that they had decapitated a murdered soldier and tried to sell his head
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
trophy in Gaza.
Yeah.
So this is what we're dealing with. So the We don't know. There is enormous pressure in Israel to get whoever is remaining of the hostages out. The daily tortures, rapes, starvation is they're in an unthinkable, unlivable situation. However, Israel will not make a deal at any price.
Yeah.
In other words, it's not like Hamas is demanding an end to the war. America, the American government, wants an end to the war. There is no way anyone in Israel of right mind that is seriously considering that. Yes, there will be a tremendous political upheaval and elections after this is all over.
Yeah.
But even the current cast of characters, whom I have very little faith in, and I've shared that repeatedly, um, I can't imagine them doing that.
Hmm.
Whatever the American pressure is. But we'll see. Everything right now, literally, is as clear as mud.
Yeah.
The northern border, we don't know. There's going to be full-blown war. Hezbollah is going to follow the UN Security Resolution 1701 from back in 2006. Here's the interesting thing. We never enforced it. We never said, hey, they didn't pull back behind the Litani River. Let's make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
It was basically kind of let's kick the can down the road.
Hmm.
But I do want to remind our listeners that the guy who was prime minister for most of the time between 2006 and now is the same clown that's sitting there, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah.
The frequency of arguments that I've gotten into since I arrived in America a few weeks ago all centers around my consistent criticism of Netanyahu, not just of his conduct now, but everything. And I gave people examples of what he did with our health ministry.
Hmm.
Our health system is in shambles. All these the political appointments to Haredi, to ultra orthodox ministers who did nothing but wanted to get a political all
Hmm.
these different things. People don't want to hear it.
No.
They don't want to hear it because they believe in Bibi. And they can't understand why he's never expanded sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. And I told him that's not him.
No.
And I actually and again, we've said this before.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting worked up here. Israel is not going to reestablish communities anywhere in the Gaza Strip, stating that unequivocally. It's not going to happen. And then you've got some lunatics, because many of the people we've known over the years, Mike, truly live on the lunatic fringe. That was a song from Red Rider many years ago, Lunatic Fringe. Anyway, who said Israel intentionally, God forbid, intentionally absorbed this horrific blow so Israel could use this as an excuse to go and reconquer Gaza. No one has said that directly to my face because I would slap the stupid out of them, quoting a phrase you taught me years ago.
Yes. 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 That is mine. Yes.
So I mean, it's people, and I find even though I repeatedly over the last three presentations keep sharing similar or related things about Israel, people are not generally retaining it.
There's the point, Hanok, that I think you just got to, that there's no retention of the facts. And maybe
No,
that's that's a problem with social media and everything else, that
Yeah.
by the time you have an opportunity to actually think about something, there's something else coming at you.
Yeah.
And so there's no real reality here. Regarding BB, I was just, as you know, I was just there for 2 weeks. I had plenty of time for conversations. I did not run across anyone that was a BB fan, even the ones who used to be BB fans.
Yeah.
And my question was this to people: is there anyone coming up behind him that you see as a viable option? And the 100% across the board was no.
Well, in Likud, Netanyahu has effectively, every time someone has risen in the ranks, he's cut their legs out from underneath them.
Yeah.
What's going to happen though, and this happened after the Yom Kippur War 50 years ago, there are going to be new political parties. They're going to be primarily reservists
Hmm.
who will come up in the political ranks. So, like when people say, "Well, what government's going to form?" We're going to have not a total different cast of characters, but other people as well. And whether we have someone that people can say they're going to point to and say, well, he's the guy or he's the woman, she's the woman, excuse me. It's only in America that you have he's the
Yeah.
she and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Um, we don't know. We don't know. But meanwhile, our military leadership, our security services leadership, military intelligence, Mossad, they've all got to go. Our chief of staff, they actually, Central Command, which is in charge of Yehuda and Shomron, Judea and Samaria, did an exercise the other day simulating settlers, quote unquote, a term I don't use,
Yeah.
settlers kidnapping a quote unquote Palestinian, another term I don't use, and in the midst of this war in Gaza, we have idiots in our military leadership that think this is going to be like this is the burning issue. I'd be a lot more concerned with Hezbollah, which is at least 10 to 15 times stronger than Hamas ever
Mm-hmm.
was.
Uh, then we throw in the wrench of so much for the Abrahamic Accords. Now Saudi Arabia wants you to go back to 1967 borders.
But they've been consistent. They've always said that.
Yeah, yeah.
This has always been part of the Saudi plan. And you've got Biden, who is planning, according to reports from the American government, to recognize a Palestinian state in some way, shape, or form, which is near disastrous.
Now that thought should send chills up anybody's spine that's in the United States. Because if you go back in history and you look at every single time that a president tried to do this, I mean, you read the scriptures, and the scripture is pretty clear here about what happens to those who try to mess with the land of Israel, whether it be Israeli government, United States government, or South Africa.
Absolutely.
Which is to me, South Africa accusing Israel of apartheid. Now that's a cool one. But you see what happens to any government and president specifically that tries this. And by the way, I did get to talk to a South African young lady in Uri's store. Met her, wonderful young lady, and she said that the reports from South Africa that she's getting is that all of the officials that were part of this, all their debts are forgiven. They're set for life. It was a
I'm
political
sure that's
buyout.
just a coincidence.
Oh, of course, yes. That they no longer have a Visa card payment. Yeah, I know. Um, So yeah, we you know the same thing's playing out again, and you wonder when the end's going to be.
Well, the other day, Columbia University, one of America's great, at least in reputation, places of higher education, were
Yeah.
chanting something you can't hide. We're calling for Jewish genocide. So you can call for the genocide of Jews. You can call for the murder of Jews in the United States of America, and everything is considered fine.
Oh, and
It's an unbelievable world
yeah, and
right now.
I don't know if you saw that in New York there was a Palestinian who came across the southern border illegally that attacked
On
a
Long Island. Yes.
on Long Island a
Yeah.
person who had an Israel flag,
Yeah.
and I guess they gave him a pretty bad beating.
It's we'll see what they wind up doing with this. I did see, clips that, it's Nassau County, Long Island, that, they're going to prosecute this, but he's an illegal immigrant to the United States. Will they deport him? This is, and I have to tell you something. Every opportunity that I've gotten on this trip where something has come up, when I've purchased something, or I've gotten a guest pass in a gym, and it's like, because they want to sell you a membership. Well, I'm from out of town. Where are you? So I'm from Israel.
Uh-huh.
It's not necessarily, even in my paranoia, it's not necessarily all negative, but it's almost like, you know, well, I went to school with Mork, you know, and
Yeah,
we're from the planet Zod,
yeah,
really.
yeah.
It's interesting. We're living in very interesting
We
times.
are, we are. Hanok, I want to breach one that I'm going to apologize to you ahead of time, okay? Because here's a bus coming, and Hanok is standing on the curb, and here we go. Because this is something I should have asked you in private before. Now I got you really scared, right? Um,
No, I'm just kind of chuckling to myself.
okay, okay. So here's a question that I asked a couple of people in Israel, which I think stunned them. Uh, Gaza,
Yeah.
you say, and the average person in Israel says, we do not want to take control of Gaza. We don't want to have anything to do with control of Gaza, correct?
That's the consensus.
Okay. We have a problem here, Houston, and that is in this book where God says, Hashem says, take possession of the land. It is not if it feels politically correct to you. It is
Right.
not, well, since you made a mistake and gave it away, well, I'm just going to kind of delete that from that verse is going to be irrelevant. There's coming a time that Hashem is going to force the nation of Israel to
Right.
become obedient to the word. What
It's not
say
as
you?
it's okay, it's not as simple as that.
Well,
We do not have the
yeah,
strength.
yeah,
We do not have the strength to conquer all the land that is our biblical allotment.
yeah.
We also, and this I learned from Rav Kahana many years ago, we don't have a an obligation to wage a war that would cost the lives
Hmm.
of tens of thousands of Jewish men and women right now for those areas. That's why we're not taking over all of southern Lebanon.
Okay.
It's the fact that we have these pre-military academies. There are not a lot of them. There are a couple throughout Israel. So when these young men finish high school, some go on for additional religious studies for a year, and they're prepared psychologically, physically to enter service in the IDF.
Hmm.
They're being called up early before they finish the year because we don't have enough people.
Yeah. Well, I understand the
Yeah,
devastation economy. I mean, I understand your thoughts there, and I see that totally clearly, and I appreciate your, your candor there. But there comes a time somewhere in the future that that it will be. And we just don't know how. And I'm not one of the ones that's going to sit here and say, hey guys, you read the back of the book and we win. So,
yeah.
yeah, uh, there's been, how many 255 soldiers that have died in this thing. I'm not saying
And
let's just go arbitrarily do something. Yeah.
right. The we live in an altered reality.
Hmm.
This is not the same world that we all went to bed in on October the 6th.
Correct.
The lack of security, the fact that people were not protected. Trying to choose my words carefully, and it's
I
a
know.
very awkward thing for me,
Yeah.
has created the reverberations of this haven't even happened yet.
No, no.
The resignations that will come from leaders, by the way, not our political leaders. Netanyahu is going to be dragged out, kicking and screaming, holding on to, every table and chair.
Yeah.
Uh,
He'll go somewhere and, retire in luxury somewhere eating crabs. I don't know.
it's so there's a lot that's going to be playing out. Um, you know, it's the classic thing. You and I have discussed this many times of, the fishers and the hunters,
Hmm.
from Yirmiyahu, from Jeremiah. It's we're it we're so at the very beginning of this new reality, we can't even begin to describe it.
No. And for those that want to spend time trying to go back and say, okay, well, what happened? Um, in my opinion, this is not the day to figure out what happened. This is the day to figure out how do we how do we bring forth victory today.
Exactly.
I was talking to Daniel and David on Life on Purpose last night, and I really challenge people, encourage people to listen to that broadcast. I have somewhere over here on this shelf, and I didn't get it because I wasn't thinking about this today either. During the Oslo War, the second Intifada, we had bracelets, those stainless steel bracelets of those who had been slaughtered in terrorist bombings and
Yeah.
suicide bombings. And it's just really been something I've been thinking about, Hanok, that after those those bracelets became souvenirs, basically,
Yeah.
memories of the past. Gaza's given away, and now the children and the grandchildren of those whose names were on those bracelets
Yeah.
are now fighting this war.
Yeah.
One of these silly things that Zoom has. It's crazy.
I didn't touch it.
I
It
I
wasn't
didn't
me.
either. I think it just kind of happens. I don't know what there is. So at least it wasn't balloons today. Um,
So
well,
yeah,
yeah,
again, I've been trying to encourage people to engage and get
yeah,
involved. And when someone comes over to me and asks me, so what's going on in Israel? And I, what's the latest? And I said, well, as of when? As of yesterday? I mean, what was the last thing that you read? And then I kind of get a long stare.
Yeah.
And then I said, are do you not read any Israeli news source? And he said, no. I said, okay, there's
Yeah,
nothing
then
I can,
I don't feel any
you know,
obligation to tell anybody anything at that
yeah,
point.
I'm not gonna,
Yeah, but for those that are engaged, let me give a little commercial here. Is that in about a week? Well, actually, next week, Bezrat Hashem, God willing, I'll be picking up Hanok, and we have a little thing I'd love for you guys to pray about. I mean, doing your civil duty is one thing, but jury duty versus picking up Hanok is another. So I've got to call in Friday night. I would love for them to say, the judge got COVID or something. I don't know. Who knows? But no, not that bad, but just, bad cold. So Hanok will be with us on at Life Assembly on February 17th. If you would like information on where that will be, people can email me. We're not going to put that out public because we have a very small area for people, so it's kind of limited. But we have a number of people coming up, and there's possibility of Hanok also being over in a Baptist church in Hayesville. So we're working on that one.
I'm speaking in a Baptist church tonight here in Florida.
Wow.
And I've
Kolakavot,
already
man.
I spoken in a Methodist church in Texas.
Kolakavot.
So things are changing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If if the people that are supposed to be engaged don't be engaged, maybe there'll be other people that get engaged.
Absolutely.
You just never know.
Mike, keep resting up. Get rid of the last remnants of the jet lag,
I'm
okay?
trying. I'm trying. Maybe tomorrow. See you, man.
Take care. Bye-bye.